When you think of the best athletes to play the game, you might think of Dr. J, David Thompson, Micheal Jordan, Dominique, guys like that. But Johnny Green was jumping higher than all of them. His story is truly fascinating, as he went from not playing at all in high school to being discovered by a coach at Michigan State who saw him play while he was in the Marine Corp. After an amazing career at MSU, the now 25-year-old Johnny was drafted 5th overall by the Knicks in 1959. He showed off his otherworldly athleticism, as he was a nightmare in the open court. He used his extremely long arms to snatch down rebounds or volleyball spike a shot. He could even put the ball on the floor and posterize defenders, as he even showed some outside shooting range at times. Johnny was rumored to have a 12'6" maximum reach, making him one of the highest leapers ever, and he was one of the first players to dunk from the foul line. Even though he started his career late, he was a reliable forward for 14 years, making 4 All-Star games along the way. Today's video will talk about the underrated career of Jumpin' Johnny Green. Welcome to PC Hoops, and let's get down to it. Johnny was born December 8, 1933 in Dayton, Ohio. When he attended Paul Laurence Dunbar High, he wanted to play basketball, but he couldn't make the team. When I was in high school, the tallest I ever got to was 5'10", and when I went out, they had players who were bigger and better. After he graduated, he worked at a bowling alley, a construction site, and a junkyard before deciding to join the Marine Corp. Johnny would undergo a late growth spurt, shooting up to 6'5" at age 20. When he played on the base's basketball team, the football coach, Dick Evans, noticed his leaping ability and sent a letter to the Michigan State coach, Forty Anderson. Johnny took a visit to the campus while on leave, and he would walk on and play for the freshman team in 1955. At 23 years old, Johnny finally made his varsity debut for the Spartans. At 6'5", Johnny would play center, but the Spartans would start out the season 4-7, but they would go on to tear in conference play, winning 10 straight games to save their year. Since they finished with the best conference record, they qualified for the tournament. Johnny was still adjusting to organized ball, but he was showing some potential, averaging 13 points and 14.5 rebounds. The Spartans barely escaped their first tournament game against Notre Dame, but Johnny dropped 20 points and 27 rebounds. He put up 14 and 18 in a win against Kentucky, and in the Final Four against North Carolina, the game went to triple overtime, but the Tar Heels won, as Johnny dropped 11 points and 19 rebounds with 8 blocks. They also lost the third place game against San Francisco, as he only put up 9 points and 13 rebounds, but Johnny would make the all-tournament team. He was more comfortable as a junior, settling into the offense a lot more. The Spartans won their first 7 games, but they would look a lot more beatable in conference play as they finished the season 16-6, and they ended second to Indiana in the Big Ten, so there was no tournament for them. Johnny had a much improved season, averaging 18 points and 18 rebounds off 51% shooting, as he was named to the All-Big Ten first team. The Spartans were rolling in 1958, as they had a 5-game and 2 6-game winning streaks this season. Their top 10 offense led them to a 19-4 record in a Big Ten regular season crown. Johnny was one of the best players in the nation as a senior, averaging 19 points and 17 rebounds, being named a second-team All-American. Michigan State faced Marquette in the first tournament game, as he dropped 14 and 18 in a 5-point win. He put up 29 points and 23 rebounds against Louisville in the regional final, but it was a losing effort. Even though Johnny was now 25, his leaping ability and elite rebounding couldn't be ignored, so he was drafted with the 5th pick in the 1959 draft by the Knicks. New York wasn't that good, as Willie Knowles, Richie Guerin, and Kenny Sears were the top players. Johnny settled into a bench role, as he was still producing in limited minutes. He dropped his first double-double on November 10th against Philly, then topped that with 15 points and 19 rebounds on February 11th against Syracuse. He had a breakout performance 10 days later with 27 points and 25 rebounds against Wilt Chamberlain, which still stands as the Knicks' rookie record. Willie, Richie, and Dick Garmacher were all-stars, while Kenny led the league in field goal percentage, but the Knicks had the worst defense, as they finished 27 and 48. Johnny averaged 7 points and 8 rebounds in his rookie season. Johnny got more minutes in the second year, as Kenny missed time with injury. He had 5 20-point games, but he also grabbed 20 rebounds in 9 games, as he nearly dropped a triple-double on November 12th against Syracuse, with 15 points, 14 rebounds, and 7 assists. The Knicks were now terrible on offense, as they finished with the league's worst record at 21 and 58. Johnny averaged 10 points and 11 rebounds this season. Charlie Tyber was traded to the expansion Chicago Packers, so Johnny was now the starting power forward. He showed out in the season opener, dropping 27 points and 15 rebounds on 59% shooting. He put up a then career-high 33 points and 13 rebounds on January 6th against Detroit. Johnny had 3 30-point games, 10 games with over 20 rebounds, and 39 double-doubles. He finished 6th in rebounds as he made his first All-Star game. Even though Richie and Willie had career years, the Knicks couldn't compete with the Celtics or the Lakers, so they finished 29-51. Johnny averaged 16 points, 13 rebounds, and a career-high 2.5 assists. The Knicks finally made some changes in 1962, trading for Gene Shue and Tom Gola. Johnny was now the starting power forward again, as this would be the best season of his career. He dropped 21-20 on the Warriors, 31-19 on Cincinnati, and a career-high 39 points and 20 rebounds on 60% shooting against Cincinnati again. He put up 38 points, 19 rebounds, and 6 assists on February 15th against Chicago, one of his 36 double-doubles. He made the All-Star team again, finishing 15th in scoring, 8th in rebounding, and 18th in field goal percentage. But the Knicks were destined to be a bottom feeder, finishing 21-59. Johnny's career year saw him average 18 points, 12 rebounds, and 2 assists. The Knicks had the #1 pick in 1963 as they selected Duke's Art Heyman. They also acquired last year's #1 pick, Billy McGill, and the 1959 #1 pick, Bob Boozer, along with former Wake Forest standout Len Chappell. Johnny was 30 years old, so he came off the bench behind Len. He dropped 23 20-point games while grabbing 23 double-doubles. Even with less minutes, he still finished 15th in rebounding and 9th in field goal percentage. But it was the same story for the Knicks, as they finished 22-58. Johnny averaged 15 points, 10 rebounds, and 2 assists. The Knicks made a lot of additions this year, drafting Willis Reed, Howard Komives, and Jim Barnes. Johnny was pushed further down the rotation in favor of the younger players, but he was still productive. He dropped 32-21 on the Warriors, 32-13 on the Celtics, and 33-9 on the Warriors again. He finished top 15 in field goal percentage as he was named an All-Star for the 3rd time, replacing an injured Tom Heinsohn. All their rookies played well, while Willis won Rookie of the Year and joined Johnny in the All-Star game. The Knicks had their best season in a while, but they only won 31 games. Johnny averaged 11 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 assists. The Knicks drafted Dave Stallworth, Dick Van Arsdale, and Bill Bradley in 1965 while trading for Dick Barnett from the Lakers, but Johnny would be part of a massive trade to the Baltimore Bullets for Walt Bellamy. Gus Johnson missed half the season with injury, but Don Ole, Kevin Lowry, and Bailey Howell would pick up the slack. Johnny came off the bench and still put up numbers, dropping 25 points and 7 rebounds in the 3rd game of the season. He dropped 24, 8, and 3 on the Celtics, and 21, 15, and 4 on the Warriors. He grabbed 21 double-doubles and finished 2nd in the league in field goal percentage. Although the Bullets had a bad defense, they had the 2nd best offense, finishing 38-42. Johnny averaged 11 points and 8 rebounds on 54% shooting, making the playoffs for the first time against the Hawks. He dropped 17-11 in Game 1, but St. Louis won. He had similar numbers in Games 2 and 3, but St. Louis would win them all to sweep the Bullets. Johnny was 33 years old in 1966, so he was deep in the rotation behind Wayne Hightower and Ray Scott, only getting about 15 minutes a game. He put up 22 points and 12 rebounds in 24 minutes against Boston, and 21 points, 12 rebounds, and 4 assists in 29 minutes against San Francisco. He had 10 double-doubles, but the Bullets were terrible as he went through 3 head coaches, finishing 20-61 in the season. Johnny averaged 8 points and 6.5 rebounds. The San Diego Rockets were one of 2 expansion teams being added to the league in 1967, and Johnny wasn't protected by Baltimore. The Rockets had a squad that included guys like Don Koges, John Block, Toby Kimball, and Pat Riley. John finally got a chance to start again, and he was showing no signs of slowing down. He dropped 30 points and a career-high 25 rebounds on the 3rd game of the season against Seattle. He put up 35-17 on the Knicks and 31-15 on the Warriors. But the 34-year-old Johnny really didn't have a place on the expansion team, so he was traded to the Sixers for a 4th-round pick. Philly was looking to repeat as champions, as Johnny became the backup power forward behind Luke Jackson, but his minutes went down drastically, as Wilt never really got out of the game. Johnny had 3 30-point games and 20 double-doubles, but all this production was with San Diego. Philly would be competitive as long as they had Wilt, so he finished 62-20. Johnny averaged 10 points and 7 rebounds. In their semifinal series against the Knicks, he dropped 16 points and 11 rebounds in the Game 5 win, as the Sixers would advance after 5 games. In the conference finals against Boston, he dropped 17-13 in Game 3, and 10 points, 13 rebounds, and 2 assists in Game 5, but the Sixers lost in 7. Even with the departure of Wilt in 1968, Johnny still wasn't a big part of the rotation, as Billy Cunningham, Luke Jackson, and Darryl Imhoff played most of the frontcourt minutes. He still had 6 double-doubles, as Philly didn't lose a beat, finishing 55-27. Johnny averaged 5 points and 4.5 rebounds this season, as the Sixers faced the Celtics in the semifinals. He had his best performance in Game 4 with 11 points and 5 rebounds in a win, but this was Philly's only win as they lost in a gentleman's sweep. Now at 35, it seemed like Johnny's career was over, but he called Bob Cousy, who was coaching the Cincinnati Royals, and asked for a tryout. He didn't just make the team, he became a starter and had his best season in years. Johnny was averaging 14 points and 12 rebounds on 52% shooting in the first 2 months of the season. He put up 31 points and 20 rebounds on 13 of 18 shooting on December 5th against Atlanta, followed by 32 points and 14 rebounds against the Celtics on March 11th. He had 42 double-doubles in 5 games with at least 5 assists. Johnny finished 13th in rebounding, while he led the league in field goal percentage. Despite Johnny's resurgence and all-star seasons from the Big O and Dick Van Arsdale, the Royals' defense was atrocious, so their 36-46 finish meant no playoffs. But in his comeback season, Johnny averaged 16 points and 11 rebounds on 56% shooting. The Royals finally traded Oscar in 1970, so Nate Archibald was their new point guard of the future. Johnny was still the starter, as he was truly an ageless wonder. He wasn't rebounding like he used to, but he was still getting easy looks at the basket, especially with passers like Nate and Norm Van Leer on the team. Johnny put up 28 and 15 on 11 of 17 shooting against the Bucks, 31 and 18 on 56% shooting against Atlanta, and then he tied his career high with 39 and 11 on 17 of 21 shooting against Detroit. His best performance of the season was on January 27th against Baltimore, where he dropped 35 points and 21 rebounds on 14 of 20 shooting. Johnny led the league in field goal percentage again, shooting nearly 59%. He had 6 30-point games and 30 double-doubles, as he made the All-Star team for the first time in 6 years, as a 37-year-old Johnny became the oldest All-Star in NBA history at the time. But the Royals really weren't that competitive, as they still couldn't stop anybody. As they finished 33 and 49, Johnny averaged 17 points and 9 rebounds on a league-leading 59% shooting. Father Time finally caught up to him at 38, but Johnny was still an effective player off the bench. In the first 20 games, he was averaging about 15 points, 8.5 rebounds, and 2 assists on 56% shooting. He still had 8 20-point games and 17 double-doubles. Nate took a tremendous leap as a sophomore, but outside of him and Tom Van Arsdale, there really wasn't much else to be excited about with this team. As he finished 30 and 52, Johnny averaged 10 points, 7 rebounds, and 1.5 assists. The Royals relocated to Kansas City in 1973, and Johnny was still contributing, dropping 19 and 14 on 6 of 8 shooting against Atlanta, and a season-high 20 points and 6 rebounds on 8 of 10 shooting against Boston. He had 3 double-doubles, and he was the most accurate shooter on the team, shooting 60% from the field. This was also the season where Nate led the league in points and assists, but the Kings still couldn't figure it out, as they finished 36 and 46, missing the playoffs again. Johnny averaged 7 points and 5.5 rebounds in his final season. Johnny retired at 39 years old as he went into the restaurant business, even owning the McDonald's by JFK Airport, one of the most popular franchises in the world. He settled down in New York, being inducted into the Ohio Basketball Hall of Fame in 2021. Johnny passed away on November 16, 2023 at the age of 89. Johnny Green might have one of the wildest stories in NBA history. He played organized ball for the first time at 20 years old, as his amazing leaping ability got him discovered while on an army base. He went on to have an excellent college career, and then became a 4-time All-Star. Even though he was 6'5" and barely over 200 pounds, he was one of the league's best rebounders. He never seemed to do too much, as he knew his role and played it well. While he wasn't an elite player, his career was amazing for someone who started the game so late. His elite jumping ability was unheard of at the time, but it seems like he's been forgotten as one of the best pure athletes to ever play the game. Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate y'all. I first heard of him when I did my research for that San Diego video, when I was looking up the San Diego Rockets and I seen Johnny Green. I looked, I'm like, okay, Jumping Johnny Green, okay, he's a 4-time All-Star. And then once I seen him, my jaw was on the floor. I'm like, wait. I seen when he was at Michigan State. Like, why is the point guard throwing behind the head alley-oops and he's going up and getting them? And this is in the mid-50s. They probably thought that was some type of black magic, him slamming like that in the 50s. What? Like, dude was just a freak of nature. Like, I don't understand that. Like, he plays basketball for the first time at 20. Like, he randomly has a growth spurt out of nowhere and he just has like trampolines in his legs. Sorcery, like straight sorcery how he was bouncing like that. And the fact that they were doing that in Chucks, probably the worst basketball shoes ever. Like, anyone who's played basketball knows that Chucks have no arch support. Like, when you land in Chucks, it hurts because there's no arch support. Like, and these dudes are jumping and like slamming. They're jumping high. They're running crazy in Chucks. Like, in the worst basketball shoes ever. And he's jamming on dudes. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel. Turn my post notifications on. Thank you. Please be safe. Stay on the grind. I'm out. Peace.